Hey, welcome to another episode of FTU Life After the Military. I'm your host, Tony Rodriguez, and I'm joined again today by Julian. Um, this is part two of my discussion with Julian. We had cut it a little short last time. He was doing quite a few things at once, and I was a little afraid that I'd have a little accident. So I just wanted to make sure that he got home safe and because like I said before, this podcast is interesting. We're trying to help people, but not at the cost of our physical or mental health. So, Julian, with that, please, I know there was something that you wanted to discuss earlier or previously, so you can just talk to me and talk to our audience about whatever's on your mind.
Got you. Thanks for having me again. Sorry about the inconvenience of me getting off work. I thought I was going to be off work earlier the first time we discussed, but glad to be back. I'm free now. So, but yeah. So what we were wanting to talk about is Afghanistan, what happened in Kabul. I wasn't over there. I didn't have the experience over there, what happened at the time. And I just, heard some things just from the grapevine of underground talk pretty much. And there was one thing that set me off when I heard about it. I saw it on a video, and, at first I wasn't sure if it was true. And then I started reading comments and saw where guys were, commenting back and saying, yeah, this happened. It was messed up. And it was apparently higher ups, telling, lower staff NCOs that, hey, tell your boys, to clean up the base. It looks bad. We got to make sure it looks nice before we turn it over to the tally. And I'm like, turn it over to the tally? What sense does that make? The enemy that we've been fighting for years, that's disheartening, not to just the junior enlisted, but to the guys that have actually lost brothers and sisters and have been on multiple combat tours over to the Middle East. And, I've got family that have multiple deployments over there for long periods of time. And, it was just, to me, I felt bad for them because it felt like a slap in the face to them, just through all the, sacrifices everybody that's been over there has made, even ultimate sacrifices, the guys that are no longer with us. I felt for them, like, was their sacrifice worth it? So like that was like the disheartening part to me about it, and hearing that we got to clean up and make the base look nice for the enemy. And, another part was all the things or all the teachings we've had about gear accountability. Like, we live, breathe, and sleep gear accountability. And we left so much equipment over there. Vehicles, weapons, it was fishy to me. In my opinion, but that's a different story. But, I just, everything we've been taught about gear accountability and the way the withdrawal happened was unacceptable, in my opinion. And the loss of 13 fellow brothers and sisters, that was unnecessary as well. But, that unit, I believe, was doing a float, and they were the closest ones, so that's why they went over there to help support that withdrawal. And there's a lot of good Muslims in the Middle East that helped us out, and they were trying to get to safety as well. And the amount of people that helped us, and they were told, like, hey, no more flights are going out. And they're like, wow, we're getting left, like there's nothing else that these people can do for us. We're on our own. And, I honestly, after that happened, I wondered what happened to those people. Did they go back to everyday normal life, or are they in hiding for, helping us, I guess, easier version of saying is cleaning up their country, making sure it's a safe place for them and a place for them to thrive and not live in fear and be heavily influenced by radical Muslim traditions. But yeah, that was pretty much it I had on all of Afghanistan, and then another thing was there was a Lieutenant Colonel, Stu Scheller. He was the commanding officer of infantry training battalion at the time when he came out with his statement on wanting accountability. And, I understood where he was coming from. And as, me being a sergeant and hearing what he had to say, I was like, heck yeah, this dude is saying what we're all thinking, but nobody's saying it. And I was out by the time this happened, and I mean, maybe he could have said it in certain ways to make it professional, a little more professional for our environment. But at the same time, I felt like he had every right as a commanding officer of an infantry training battalion to say the things he said and the way he said them. It was kind of needed. And I don't think he was being disrespectful to any officers or any of his peers. I just felt that, his voice is something that needed to be heard at the time of this. And all he wanted was, some accountability. And, I mean, that's all we've ever been taught. And in the NCO creed, it says, there's a line in there that states, I will influence the young, and it says something about like the older generations of Marines. I haven't read it in so long, or haven't even memorized it in a long time, but that statement popped in my head when he or that line on the NCO creed popped in my head when he came out with his comments. And I, as a enlisted guy, I appreciate somebody in the chain of command that is kind of like that as a leader. I feel like you need those type of leaders. I feel like they build strong, small unit leaders such as NCOs, from sergeants to corporals to lance corporals. And, if he was still in, honestly, I feel like that'd be a commander I'd be behind 100%, and I'd go to battle with him, But yeah, I mean that's all my comments about the
Yeah.
Afghanistan.
So to be perfectly clear and upfront and just transparent, I had this discussion with my two friends, with Drew and Jesse, when this happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I agreed with his message. What he was saying was valid. But what I explained to both of my friends was, you're not just judged by your words, but you're judged by your actions, right?
Yeah.
So he was held accountable, and I get that.
Yeah.
I just find it, I don't know if it's just a coincidence that he's out in December. He says his statements in August. He's out in December. By January, he already has his book published, and it's out on Amazon.
Yeah, that is a little weird. I will attest to that.
So was this just a whole ploy to, get some publicity for his book? Because he said he was going to go on a media blitz, but I guess it never happened because nobody wanted to hear from him. So for me, I question the person, but the message is valid.
Yeah, definitely. The accountability message was something I appreciated.
And the other part, which is bigger than all of that, whether my opinion, regardless of what I think of the individual, right?
Yeah.
The biggest message that I see from this is, because I try to stress mental health and physical health. Well, what is that doing to the mental health of people who served in Afghanistan? What is that doing to the mental health of people? I never went to Afghanistan. I went to Iraq 3 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
But seeing my friends and how they're taking that, seeing the toll that it put on them.
Mm-hmm.
That there's nothing I can do for them, and that's a burden that they're carrying, and they're carrying alone. The only other people that can really truly understand what they're going through is somebody that was there with them. I wasn't there. I don't know. I can sympathize, I can empathize, but if it's weighing on me seeing my friends like that, then what is it doing to them? And again, I knew you wanted to come on and say something about Afghanistan. That's what I really wanted to make sure that we all got out, that whether we went or we didn't, we served our country, but we know we have friends that went there. And we have friends that didn't come back. We have friends that left some of their body parts over there, right?
Yeah.
I talk about this one friend. He went and his vehicle was hit by a IED, right? So the team leader didn't make it. He passed away instantly. But his best friend survived, but he lost his leg, right? And so the medic, my friend, went and he had to treat him, right? Well, how is that? Like how are you supposed to get over something like that? Like, you're treating your best friend and you have to do the best you can to keep your friend alive. And then when you hand him over, he's alive when you hand him over, but you don't know if he's going to survive. That's going to take a toll on you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm sure it's a very traumatizing experience.
And so that's why I wanted to bring you on here, because you bring a different perspective and you see things differently from me.
Yeah.
Just like you see things differently from Junior. And that's what I want to get on here, are different points of views.
Yeah, definitely. I understand that. Yeah, I'm sure that was very traumatizing. I've seen only videos and pictures, and there's a saying for us is, when we're infantrymen and we train and train for this moment of going to, fight or going to, war. And every time you're lock and loaded to get ready, and then it gets canceled and sent to another unit, you're like, well, dadgummit, we call it being a failed entryman. At the same time, I feel like it's a sort of a serious saying, but at the same time, I learned to let go of it, so that way it didn't bother me the rest of my life of never being able to do what I was trained to do. It was a little disheartening, I guess, getting all that training and never implementing it, except for just, repetition, muscle memory, mind memory of, calling out 9 lines, how to use certain medical tools on certain battle wounds, like just doing all that stuff over and over and over, and it just kind of sticking with you. It's keeping you prepared for that moment, but I just learned to let go of the whole failed infantryman little saying that we had. I am fortunate that I've never been in an area that will give me a traumatizing experience, or later down the road have post traumatic stress disorder. I'm fortunate I don't have that. My dad has it. I'm sure my uncle has it. And it's something my dad struggled with for a long time, and I didn't even know it until about a year and a half ago. He finally told me. For about 5 years, he just felt suicidal, and looking at my dad, knowing like, man, this is one of the strongest, mentally tough people I know, and for him to tell me that, and have like little moments where I guess there's like some anxiety that builds up into him. I felt bad for him, because I was like, well, I don't know how to help him out myself. Um, and, if I could, I would. But like you said, I mean, all you could do is sympathize or empathize for them, and my dad has been, I think he's been doing pretty good after he finally told me about it. And he just, he's doing good. So, and I actually helped him do his VA disability, and I got him up to 90% recently, and he's uh, he's submitting one more paperwork that's supposed to put him at 100, but this other guy at the VA office in our local town is helping him. So hopefully he gets it. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of veterans are deserving of more than 50%, so, but, like I said, like you said, it's, you can empathize and sympathize with, your friends or people you may know that have been there. I mean, because you don't know how it was, because, I mean, you haven't been there in that area, so.
Yeah, and so last year when this kicked off, I was still a first sergeant, and I had a couple of people come to my office, and they gave me that speech that you see in the movies, right? The hey, well, I want to go. And it's like, well, how would? And they both of them ended the same way. Well, Top, how would you feel if you were in my shoes and you had never gone? And I had to tell them both, please get the hell out of my office.
Yeah.
And it was no disrespect to any of them.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to have to go into combat if they don't have to.
Yeah.
And so whoever served, if you served honorably, you did what your country asked.
Yep.
Regardless of what it was. Like, you did what your country asked. You volunteered. You're part of the 1%. Right? We talk about the 1%ers, right? The rich people, but we're the real 1%.
Definitely.
We said, hey, you know what? I'll go out there. I'll be away from my family for days, months, years at a time, to make sure that this country's safe. And all you can do is what your country asks you to do.
Yeah.
And if you served honorably, that's enough. If you were those few that went above and beyond, God bless you, and I hope you found peace, in the afterlife. But I've seen a lot of people say that. I'm not saying that you did that, or you do that, but I've seen other people they'll like make an excuse, or like, well, I don't, my PTSD isn't as bad as yours, or I don't have PTSD. It's like, who cares? Like, I hope nobody gets PTSD.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope everybody gets out and you're healthy. Like, I don't want you to be like me, where it feels like my arms are falling off every day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that for anybody. I want everybody to go out and live a happy life, productive life. And if you just want to be a fisherman, if you want to go down to the river and just fish every day and, sustain yourself like that, then do that. If you want to go be the next Jeff Bezos and start your own Amazon, then go do that. Whatever makes you happy and provides fulfillment for you in your life. That's all I want for guys.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely 100% agree with that. When you said that, it reminded me of a story. When I was in infantry school, I had a staff sergeant I looked up to. I hadn't seen him since, but I know he was a gunny the last time I heard about him. But a bunch of the guys, were just talking to him and kind of cutting up. And one of them was like, Staff Sergeant, do you ever think we'll go back to combat? And he looked at us, and you could see it in his eyes that he was being dead serious when he said, I hope none of you ever have to go to combat. And we all just kind of looked at each other, and he walked off. And I mean, they were quiet after that. And I mean, I kind of understood what he was saying. But, like, I didn't have the experience to fully understand what he was saying, and like I was saying is, like, I'm fortunate that I came back in a sound mind, or I got out in a sound mind, and all my body parts attached, and my knees kill me every day, but who in the military don't have bad knees after they get out? So, I'm I'm a fortunate veteran, pretty much. So.
Yeah, and when you came on, you apologized. You never have to apologize for anything when you come on this podcast, Julian.
Okay.
And you could always come on whenever you want. Just so everyone knows, everybody who comes on here is just volunteering to come on free of charge. They're offering their time so they can give you bits of nuggets of what helped them when they transitioned out, and just trying to help other people out. Like I said, I just didn't want to be the cause of you, going off the road. That's all.
Yeah, definitely. And I was driving a big rig, pretty much, with a skid steer on it, and so I mean, I was hoping I'd be off in time, because we were supposed to get off at 3:30, but the job got extended, and I didn't get home till, I don't know, about 6 o'clock. So that was my bad on that. But yeah, I thought I was going to be free.
No, that's perfectly fine. Like your uncle, when I went out there, he was working on cars and took 30 minutes to do a podcast with me. So you hear like all the work going on in his auto shop and the cars driving by, and went to my buddy's house who has a farm, right? So you could hear all the chickens and all the birds. And,
Yeah.
I understand people have lives,
Yeah.
we're just trying to help each other out. So, if somebody needs me to come on at 2 a.m, because that's when they're available, all right, that's fine by me.
Yeah.
But you said you were helping your dad with his VA claim, right? Or you helped him out?
Yeah.
So I recently joined the VFW, but I know there are other groups out there. Did you consider joining anything when you got out?
Honestly, no. I've just been so busy working for my dad that I just felt like, when I come home, I got a few things that I like to do is hanging out with my family. It's probably the biggest thing is hanging out with them, and then playing with my 2-year-old son, and then hoping to raise him old school or old fashioned like I was raised, being disciplined, not being so easily influenced by, worldly views, just trying to keep the old fashioned generation alive still through my family. So I'm pretty heavy about that. And, I like to ride my Harley. My dad got me to buy a Harley. I never thought I'd ever ride a bike in my life. I've seen some people do some crazy things on bikes, and I'm just like, man, I don't think I could ever ride a bike. And, and I know people don't watch out for bikers on the road for real. So, like, you got to be very defensive when you're driving and, and still have fun while you're riding. But there's just some things I won't do when I ride my bike. But when I get on my bike and I ride with my dad, I'm just cruising around. And I put speakers on it recently, and now I get to play some music loud, just driving down like a back country road. And it's pretty cool during the fall time down here because like the roads are, especially curvy roads, have like woods all the way up to the road. And the leaves, since it's fall, it's turning color and stuff, so leaves are on the road. And I like looking in my mirror when I pass by a group of leaves and watch them like kind of fly up like it's a movie or something. I don't know, man. But I would recommend, if you're a veteran, going with a friend and buy a bike together and ride together. Something you can do and bond. But no, to answer your question, sorry I went on a little rant, but no, I've never really thought about joining one because I felt like I just wouldn't have enough time to dedicate to being a part of something like that. And whenever, like in our last podcast that you had, I mentioned whenever I went to do my VA disability, I reached out to literally everything I could around my my area, VFWs, the DAV, I think it's called the DAV, and like I could get no one on the phone, no one, and I just was like, man, this is because I knew I had to get it done, and I was just so goal oriented about like getting it done, making sure I had like my P's and Q's crossed, and that's how I learned. I did it by myself, and I couldn't ask any of my senior enlisted because they haven't done that process yet, so they didn't know. And but yeah, no, I haven't thought about joining one.
Yeah, no, so that's great because you mentioned that you have a little one, right? And spending time with your family that's important. My kids are older, so they're out, so I have the time to go out there. And the only reason why I mention it is because I got to meet some Vietnam veterans, and hearing their stories, and hear their perspective, and then how they dealt with the VA. So the VFW offers the VSO training to help people out with their VA claims, right?
Yep.
So I'm gonna do that next month. So I can. That's not going to be my job, but like if somebody needs assistance, then I could provide assistance for them. So
Awesome.
We don't have this going on. So I'm trying to get the word out. Like after December, I think it's like 12th or something. Then I'll be trained and certified, and I can help people with their claims.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I did not know that wasn't a job. Because like whenever there's like state, because I was doing research, man, trying to figure out who could help me do my VA claim, and that's when I stumbled upon VSOs, and I looked up state VSOs in North Carolina at the time, and then I looked up the VSOs in my area, and there was about 5. I called all 5 numbers. And let me tell you, I was calling and calling, leaving voicemail after voicemail, shoot them an email. So I didn't know that was a job, or not a job. I thought it was. I didn't know it was like a, you're
you just have to be certified from the Department of Veteran Affairs.
Okay.
And then you could do that. But people like Fort Bragg, they have 4 positions there, right?
Yeah.
So they're supposed to have 4 people employed full time doing it, but they don't pay those people enough, and they have to deal with, soldiers and airmen who are getting out.
Yeah.
And they procrastinate, and so they're stressed out, and so they take it out on the VSOs. So the VSOs don't last; they only last a few months. It's like, you know what, I don't need this, and they quit.
I can understand that. I mean, that's unfortunate, on both ends of the spectrum. But, I'll be honest, any veterans that are thinking about getting out, like, you need to stay on top of your VA claim and get everything in order, keep it in order. And when you bring it to, the claims office on base or off base, if you end up hearing this and doing it later on in life, because I tried to encourage my dad when he got out many years ago, like, hey, you need to go do that crap, man. Like, I'm sure that's pretty important. And he just that's when he started the business and got, 10 years down the road, I get out of the military after 4.5 years, because I worked with him for 6 years before I went in. And I get out and he sees, like I did my VA claim, and he sees it's like kind of beneficial for me. And he's like, well, shit. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. I didn't mean to cuss. Well, crap. Like I need to do mine. And I'm like, Dad, I told you to do that years ago. You still haven't done that, And, so like I sat down with him for about 2 days straight and showed him how to do it. And then we found out about, buddy letters, and buddy letters is a good thing, because like if it's not in any of your medical history, which that does happen, or you decide not to go to medical and get it documented, like you'll have a buddy in your unit, I guess, you type up a letter of what happened, they're like, yeah, I remember this when this happened. They sign off and date it, and you submit that as evidence, and that's like 100% evidence that the VA can't deny that um, medical disability you're having. So,
Yeah, definitely. So when I filed my claim, I med boarded out, but I had heard so many horror stories about the VA. I had three friends. I typed up the letters and I sent it to them, and I let them edit it whatever they wanted to.
yeah,
Then signed it and sent it back to me. I found that was easier than asking them to type up a letter.
yeah, yeah. I mean, because, like if you ask some, like one of your buddies, like, I about cut my finger in half when I was in Korea. Uh, it was a funny story how it happened, but I nicked the tendon, so therefore I can't straighten the tip of my finger all the way out. And this was my trigger finger, so like once it healed, I was like, oh God, am I have to shoot left-handed now? Because I don't know if it's going to affect me being able to close or pull or squeeze my finger, to pull the trigger. And what happened is once it finally fully healed, I was able to slowly start being able to make my finger touch the bottom end of my palm. And for a while, I couldn't do it. It just hurt too bad. And I kept, doing it every day, doing little exercises because like I wanted to shoot right-handed. It was what I was comfortable with, what I was used to. That was my lethal side. So I made sure to get myself squared away as fast as I could. So what happened is they decided not to take me out of the field to go get me stitched up at a hospital. They had our MO and our corpsman come in a tent where I was at, and I had just blood running out my finger, and I'm just like, okay, can we hurry this process along, close my finger, and get this straightened out. And so the MO looked at me and was like, hey, my guys have never done sutures before. Do you mind if they get practice in on your finger? And I looked at him and I was very hesitant about it. And I was like, you know what? To help better the corpsman, I'll make that sacrifice because I'm the one that, caused this accident on my finger. And I figured it was the least I could do. But I looked at him and I was like, Doc, I need you to make sure my finger is numbed up all the way. Like, I do not want to feel them sticking the crap out of my finger. And like the first couple of guys did a decent job. And then this one guy came up and he did not have really a steady hand. And he had to keep pulling it out, going back in, pulling it out, going back in. And by that time, I was starting to feel my finger again. And I was like, all right, sir, you got to take over, sir. I can't handle that pain no more. And he took over. But what sucked is he had to pull all the work they did out and redo it. And then my platoon corpsman pretty much like made sure it was clean every day and kept me squared away. And then by the time we left deployment, my finger started, the skin started to repair itself. But it was like very dry, and if I would have been my finger, it felt like I ripped my finger open again and start bleeding. And so I had to keep putting like cocoa butter on there every day to make sure like the skin would stay soft around there. And finally it meshed itself together and I could, move my finger. I just couldn't bend the tip or straighten out the tip no more. And I got a nasty little scar across my finger, but
Yeah, that sounds. So I was a medic too, and yeah, that sounds about right with the stitching ability.
mm-hmm.
Okay, Julian. So we're going ahead in about 35 minutes now. So I'm trying to keep these in about 30 to 40 minutes because I found that if it goes past that, people won't download it because it's too long.
Oh man, I'll listen to
So,
podcasts all
so,
day.
so that's why I'm doing part one and part two because people have things to say and they should be given the chance to say whatever's on their mind.
Yeah, most definitely.
But do you have any shout outs or anything that you want to promote? Any businesses or anything?
Sure. If you work for a business and need landscaping, hire US Lawns. It's the best commercial landscaping franchise around. Um, if you want, get a Harley. They're fun to ride. Drive safe. Keep your eyes open because, like I said, cars don't watch out for you. And then, thanks again, Antonio, for having me on this podcast and letting, my voice be heard or my opinion be heard. And I appreciate what you're doing and keeping veterans informed about experiences of exiting the military and transitioning back into the civilian world.
Julian, you're always welcome to come on whenever you have my number. If there's a topic you want to talk about, just let me know, and you're always welcome to come back on.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. So as always, everyone, you're important. You're special. You do matter. Your mental health and your physical health is important. So make sure you take care of that. Until next time, we'll talk to you later. Zot, 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 and roll tide.